Chapter 8. Who is as the wise man, and who knoweth the interpretation of a thing? A man's wisdom maketh his face to shine, and the boldness of his face shall be changed. I counsel thee to keep the king's commandment, and that in regard of the oath of God. Be not hasty to go out of his sight, stand not in an evil thing, for he doeth whatsoever pleaseth him. Where the word of a king is, there is power, and who may say unto him, What doest thou? Whoso keepeth the commandment shall feel no evil thing, and a wise man's heart discerneth both time and judgment. Because to every purpose there is time and judgment, therefore the misery of man is great upon him. For he knoweth not that which shall be, for who can tell him when it shall be? There is no man that hath power over the spirit to retain the spirit, neither hath he power in the day of death, and there is no discharge in that war. Neither shall wickedness deliver those that are given to it. All this have I seen, and applied my heart unto every work that is done under the sun. There is a time wherein one man ruleth over another to his own hurt. And so I saw the wicked buried, who had come and gone from the place of the holy, and they were forgotten in the city where they had so done. This was also vanity. Because sentence against an evil work is not executed speedily, therefore the heart of the sons of men is fully set in them to do evil. Though a sinner do evil 100 times, and his days be prolonged, yet surely I know that it shall be well with them that fear God, which fear before him. But it shall not be well with the wicked, neither shall he prolong his days, which are as a shadow, because he feareth not before God. There is a vanity which is done upon the earth, that there be just men, unto whom it happeneth according to the work of the wicked. Again there be wicked men, to whom it happeneth according to the work of the righteous. I said that this also is vanity. Then I commended mirth, because a man hath no better thing under the sun than to eat and drink and to be merry, for that shall abide with him of his labor the days of his life, which God giveth him under the sun. When I applied mine heart to know wisdom, and to see the business that is done upon the earth, for also there is that neither day nor night seeth sleep with the eyes, then I beheld all the work of God, that a man cannot find out the work that is done under the sun. Because though a man labor to seek it out, yet he shall not find it. Yea, farther, though a wise man think to know it, yet shall he not be able to find it. Here in chapter 8, he's dealing with wisdom and being obedient and looking in the future. And it says in verse 1, Who is as the wise man, and whoso knoweth the interpretation of a thing? How are you going to tell whether or not anything that happens to you is going to be for good or for bad? Basically, verse 2, I counsel thee to keep the king's commandment, because that's going to be important to you. Be not hasty to go out of his sight. Stand not in any evil thing, for he doeth whatsoever pleaseth him. Both God and kings do that. And you can get, where the word of a king is, there is power. And so you want to pay attention to the fact that there is power there. You don't want to challenge it. Who says to the king, What do you? What do you think you're doing? Okay. Whoso keepeth the commandment of the king shall feel no evil thing. And a wise man's heart discerneth both time and judgment. In other words, you realize that in time, there's a saying that says, time heals all wounds, and time wounds all heals. Heels. In other words, time eventually catches up with all those people who are bad. Because to every purpose there is a time and judgment. Therefore the misery of man is great upon him. In other words, because you have this delayed happening, this delayed pain, when it comes, you thought you'd escaped it, all of a sudden it comes and it catches up to you, and it's a lot more painful, a lot more traumatic than you would have thought it was, because you would have thought you wouldn't have to deal with it anymore. Now, because the sentence, here's verse 11, because sentence against an evil work is not executed speedily. In other words, as soon as you do something bad, you don't get punished for it immediately, especially by God. Therefore, the heart of the sons of men is fully set in them to do evil. In other words, they think they're going to get away with it. They don't realize there is such a thing as justice in the long run. And it said, though the sinner do, in verse 12, though the sinner do evil 100 times and his days be prolonged, yet I know that it shall be well with them that fear God, those that respect God, those that do the things they're supposed to. But it shall not be well with the wicked, neither shall he prolong his days, which are as a shadow. In other words, the wicked's days just vanish. Just vanish. There's no lasting value to them because he fears not God. Okay. Now, then he says in verse 15, then I commended mirth, because a man hath no better thing under the sun than to eat and to drink and be merry. However, that doesn't get him to where he wants to go. Then, verse 17, then I beheld all the work of God, that a man cannot find out the work that is done under the sun. Okay, under the sun again. Okay, in the eyes of man without any real knowledge of the workings of God, because though a man labor to seek it out, yet he shall not find it. Though you look and try to find why things are done, why the work of God is being done, you aren't going to figure it out, because you don't have any way to think like God thinks. Though a wise man think to know it, yet shall he not be able to find it. If you were able to think like God, you would understand it, but man does not think like God, therefore he doesn't understand what God does.